Greetings to another video. We are now in peak Zwift season. I have not ridden outside for quite a while now. Actually, I went out on the mountain bike yesterday, but most of my, my road training and riding is now on Zwift, and I think it's probably going to be the same for a lot of you. And so I thought I would share some of the mistakes that I think people make and that I've made myself in getting completely comfortable on Zwift and just getting the best out of riding a turbo and putting all that effort in. The first mistake I think people make, I've done this as well, is wearing their most tired, used, worn out bibs on Zwift. And the reason for this is, and I've done the same, is because because I know I'm just going to sweat so much in them, I'm just like, I don't want to wear like my favourite pair when I'm riding outdoors. However, because when you're on Zwift, you are a lot more static, you don't move around as much. I actually think it's more important to get a really comfortable, like good fitting pair of bibs when you're riding indoors on Zwift. So yeah, don't scrimp on the bibs and don't use your oldest ones. I wear my favourite ones when I'm on Zwift, even though I do sweat them up quite a lot, but I want the comfort. The second mistake I think people make is they don't have enough ventilation. So many times I've been on like group rides and people are like, oh, I forgot to put my fan on. I'm like, how did you forget to put your fan on? For me, that is as important as putting my shoes on, because if it's not well ventilated, one, you're just gonna sweat so much more. And the other thing is more to do with comfort, in that if you don't have ventilation just around your body, obviously you're gonna sweat more, your heart rate's gonna be higher, it's gonna feel harder for one. But also skin breaks down, like in the saddle area, if you are sweaty, if it's moist, if it's just gonna get hot in that region. So the more you can do to prevent skin breakdown, the better. So just put your fan on, open the windows, just get loads of air around your body. Another one is people don't get up out and on the saddle enough. It just feels weird sometimes if you're not used to it. But I make it a habit to get out at least every couple of minutes, just because if you are sat in that same position for a long period of time, it just feels more uncomfortable. And when you're outdoors, you are stopping at lights more, you're moving around a lot more. So just make sure that you are getting in and out of the saddle regularly. God, I'm a bit out of breath, I didn't even go very far. There's also nothing worse than a dehydration, Zwift-induced headache when you've gone so hard indoors and you just get really bad headache. I get it, I've had it. And so that's the mistake, is not having electrolytes. When you're indoors, when you're sweating a lot more, electrolytes are just pouring from your body. So just make sure you are drinking enough and getting electrolytes in, because yeah, sometimes in the past when I've gone like in a race or something, I've had to have a little hour in bed because I'm like, oh, my head's so bad. So I make it such a conscious thing that I make sure that I've got electrolytes in my bottle every time I'm on Zwift. The next mistake I think people make, and I am still guilty of doing this, is, do you know, you've done like a longish session on Zwift and you're like, oh, I don't know whether you do this, but even on outdoor rides, I'm thinking of like what tea I'm gonna have afterwards. And so once you get off Zwift, it's so easy to just run into the kitchen, start making all your food, sit down, eat it all. But no, don't do it. The reason for this is you need to do some stretching, some yoga. I've got a video, I'm going to leave a link to it below. Because because you're in a much more static position, you need to really stretch out all your muscles. So for me, my hips get quite tight. And so I make a conscious effort to get off my bike, I'm like, no, leave the food. I need to go and stretch first. So I go and it's literally 6 minutes. I do it for the duration of 2 songs. That's what I like rationalise with myself. Just do it for those 2 songs. You don't have to do 20 minutes. Even if it's 3 minutes, just go and do some stretches. You'll feel better for it. Your body will thank you for it, and you won't feel as sore, or your legs won't feel as tired. So get some stretching done. This kind of goes hand in hand with the last mistake that I think people make, is they sit in their bibs so long after they've got off Zwift, and it's like, no. Don't do it. And I learned this from Phil Burt, who is physio, who works for Team Sky British Cycling. He's like, as soon as you're done doing turbo, or even when you've been outside, get the bibs off as soon as you can. You need, again, ventilation in that area. You don't want bacteria, and it's just going to be gross. So get out of them. I know people that get off Zwift and just sit in them all night. I'm like, no. And that can affect you getting like saddle sores, infections, like just no. Take them off. I mean, do your yoga, take them off, have a shower. My thing, what I do actually on Zwift, is I'll cook something like just before I'm gonna do a Zwift session. And then when I get off, I can just do my yoga really quickly, quick shower, and then my food is pretty much ready. So I hope those tips have helped and will get you a lot more comfortable on Zwift to be able to ride a lot longer, a lot further, and hit your training goals, I guess. So I'm gonna, I've got almost 2 hours on here now, so, and that's why I know that these tips work, because yeah, sitting on 2 hours on Zwift in the past might have been a little bit more uncomfortable, but now with doing those things, it's amazing. So I will see you all next video. If you've got any other tips for comfort, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you next video. It's like the worst bag I've ever done. Do it again. Every time I can't even get on it properly.